Hello everyone, welcome in today. We're going to be doing our signing day episode along with our awards episode, but first, we have Conference Championship Week. TCU beats West Virginia in the Big 12 Championship 35-21. It looks like they're going to finish with the 12-1 regular season and I guess Conference Championship Week record. This game was actually a little closer than what it looks looking at your final score. The total offense was pretty much even. There was only 17 yards of separation, but that turnover might have been what gave TCU the edge. Next up, we have Oklahoma, Alabama in the SEC, and Alabama's going to win it. That means they're in the playoffs with a 12-1 record. They were a little bit worse than Oklahoma on offense, surprisingly. But knowing Alabama, they probably got a couple turnovers, which they did. They had a turnover, but they also got the stops when they needed them. Next up's ACC. It's North Carolina, NC State, and North Carolina dominated NC State 52-24. This one wasn't even close. I don't think it's enough to get UNC in the playoff with their 10-3 record, so we probably won't see an ACC opponent in there. Their total offense was pretty awesome and sick in this game, though, with 530 yards. They also didn't have any turnovers, and they forced two from NC State. Next up, you have Stanford and Boise State for the Pac-12 championship, and Stanford loses this one 51-42 to Boise State. This Pac-12 that's reimagined, I did not expect this to be the outcome. I honestly expected Oregon or Washington to be at the top of it and dominate maybe Notre Dame or something in the conference championship game, so that's a little bit of a shock. This game was really not that close if you look at the yards. Boise State seemed to control it throughout. They did have more turnovers as well, which is the wild part about this, and it didn't even matter. Boise State won it. Next up's Ohio State, UCLA. The winner of this should be in the playoff if it's Ohio State, and it's not. UCLA pulls off the upset. The problem is here, UCLA is not good enough to get into the playoffs. Ohio State might just be able to still sneak in though, even though they're a one-loss team that didn't win their conference championship game, and I think honestly that's their clearest path then, is just the fact that they only lost one game and it was in the conference championship game. And as you can see, our Heisman winner was Kyle McCord in this. He beat out CJ Donaldson, Jam Miller, Mitch Lieberger, and Jalen Milroe of Alabama, so it's a pretty impressive thing for Kyle McCord. Maybe he'll develop like this in real life. Honestly though, I kind of doubt it. He doesn't look like that type of player at this point in his career, and you can see looking at all the awards in the background, a lot of people in this top 5 did a really good job of cleaning up the other awards as you'd expect, and everybody there will go to a 95 except for Kyle McCord. He'll go to a 99 overall. And you can see we managed to win a few awards here with our Florida Gators. We'll check in on that. The Maxwell went to Kyle McCord though, as you'd expect. Jack Barola ended up finishing number 8. The Walter Camp, also Kyle McCord. We don't have anybody in top 10. Chuck Bednarik went to Scooby Williams, and we had 4 of the top 10 candidates for that one. Kennedy Pretlow won the Nagurski out of Stanford. The O'Brien Award went to Kyle McCord. The Doak Walker went to Jam Miller of Alabama. The Biletnikoff went to Caden Saunders, a former wide receiver of ours at Penn State. The Mackey went to Ryan Anderson, a tight end out of Mississippi State, which is quite an impressive win for him. The Outland went to Jed Compton, a tackle we recruited to Penn State. The Remington went to Kanan Rossi, a center out of Oregon. Then we have left end Kennedy Pretlow winning another award with the Lombardi from Stanford. Scooby won the Dick Butkus Award, which is awesome. The Thorpe went to Miguel Mitchell, a safety out of Florida, baby. And Adam Mahalik also won the Groza, which is quite impressive. The guy for the best punter went to Forrest Karloftis at Oregon, and then Simeon Price, a halfback out of Mississippi State, won the Jet, which is the award for the best kick returner. Now, everybody that won an award will also go to a 95 overall. It's just the way I do it, and I think it's the best way to reward them for having fantastic seasons. And then you have your all-NCAA team. The first team goes to a 90, the second team goes to an 87, and the freshman team goes to a 75. If they're above that, I'm not really going to mess with them. If they're below it, they're going to get to that threshold as we're moving forward. And you can see we had Scooby Williams, Akil Wesley, Rashad Johnson, Miguel Mitchell, Adam Mahalik all end up on the first team, which means they're all going to be 90 overall players. And that really increases the chances that we lose Rashad Johnson and Miguel Mitchell because they're both underclassmen. Now, Akil Wesley, thankfully, is only a freshman, but now we have a 90 overall corner that will be returning to our team next year, guaranteed. That's an impressive one for us. Looking at second team All-NCAA, Chris McClellan made that team, so he's not going to get an improvement. He's already a really good defensive tackle. I was hoping to get him on the first team just because it'd have been cool to have, more players on the first team. That was our only second team All-American, though. That's a little disappointing, in my opinion. And then you can see Jale Atwell is a player we focused on last year during recruiting. He ended up going to Miami and having a really good freshman season and ending up on the All-NCAA freshman team. You got to give him a lot of credit for that. He did exactly what Miami wanted and what I thought he could do. I still say, though, the biggest issue with him was speed. He was way too slow, and that gave me a lot of pause seeing how he'll be able to do it in the long haul. But you got to give him credit. He's able to make it work so far as a freshman. We'll see if he can keep it up and maybe develop. We had Akeel Wesley end up on the first team All-NCAA freshman. That's not shocking. He did a really good job for us. He's a first team All-American, so I mean, that is what it is. Looking at our CFP rankings as we head into the playoff, it's Alabama 1, TCU 2, Ohio State 3, and Penn State 4. Oregon just missed out, followed by Oklahoma State and Florida. And man, it's really sad. If we had an 8-team or even a 12-team playoff this year, we would have been in. We had a pretty good season, but honestly, we're looking like Penn State in real life, where they just can't ever get over that hump. But we're still developing our roster, so I don't see a reason why we can't improve and become consistently one of the best teams in the SEC. We only have one recruiting class of Coach KJ's in there. We do have players that stayed when he took over, but they're not his complete class. And we had number 1 class last year, so honestly, I'm not that concerned about it. We'll see how this season finishes out recruiting wise. Let's get into our early signing day and see who we actually get to commit to our team. First up is Aka Cedric Williams, a 3-star outside linebacker out of Oregon. He soft committed to Florida and he went to the Gators. We're happy to get him. He's a 74 overall. We need depth at outside backer, so he's a big get for us. He's only a 3-star, but we're glad to have him. Next up on our list is Brendan Vale. He is a 2-star kicker. He's the number 28 kicker in the nation out of Florida. We'll see if we'll get him. We do. He's coming to Florida. He's an 85 overall. We're glad to have him. Let's see who's next. Next up, we have Breland Brown. He's a 4-star receiver out of New York. We really need to get this kid in here, and we do. He's an 82 overall, and he's a stud. We're glad to get him. Now let's develop him. Now we have Deshaun Exelholm. He's a 6'6" outside backer out of Melbourne. We need to get him in here. Let's see where he goes. And he chooses the Gators. He's only a 74 overall, but with his height, I think we can develop this kid and he might become a beast for us. Now let's move on to our next one. We have Devin Jeanette III next. He's a 3-star tight end out of Alabama. We really would like to get this kid. We need depth at tight end, but he soft committed to Tennessee. Let's see if we could flip him. And unfortunately, we couldn't. He chose Tennessee. We didn't make his final list because I pulled him off instead of just letting him disappear because he committed elsewhere, but he wasn't that good anyway. He's only a 64 overall. We'll be okay without him. Next up on our list is Emmanuel Antone. He's a 4-star, number 9 QB in the nation. He's 6'1", 199 out of Alabama. We'd love to bring him in. Let's see if we get him. We do. He's only a 65 overall, though, so he's quite a big bust. He's a scrambler type, so we might be able to develop him. Maybe we'll even change positions with him. We'll have to see what we do. Next up, we have Eric Davis, who might be catching passes from him. He's soft committed to us. He's 6'2", 200, and a 4-star receiver, so let's see if he keeps his commitment. He does. He comes to the Gators. He's only a 66 overall, however, so he is another bust. It's okay, though. Hopefully we can develop him and give him some time to learn and grow. Next on our list is Jared Wells. He's another 6'6", 235-pound outside backer. He's the number 6-1 in the nation, and he soft committed to us. Let's see if we can hold on to his commitment. He's going to be important to our class. And we do. He's an 83 overall. He is our best player in our class so far that I've revealed. He's going to be a dominant force for us, and he's going to play from day one. Outside backer and linebacker in general is pretty weak, and so any one of these guys that's good has a good chance of playing early. Now, next on our list is Jaden Norwood. He's a 4-star receiver out of California. Let's see if we can get him in here. And we do. We managed to win this national recruiting battle and bring this kid onto our team. He's a 76 overall receiver, and I cannot wait to get him in here and really just see what he's made of. Next up on our list is Jonah Stepp. He's a 5-star middle linebacker. He's the number 3 linebacker in the nation. He's soft committed to us. Let's see if we can hold on to him. And we do hold on to him, and he's an 80 overall. He might be able to play immediately with Scooby Williams headed to the NFL. I can't wait to get him out there, and let's see how he can impact our defense. Next on our list is Joseph Allen. He's a 4-star center out of Michigan, and he's soft committed to Nebraska. Let's see if we can flip him. And we did. We managed to get him to come to the Gators. He's an 81 overall center, and he may very well start for us pretty quickly on this O-line. He may not play center. I don't know. We might have to adjust this position, but I'm just glad we got him. Next on our list is Josh Mosley. He's a 3-star tackle out of Florida. He's down to Florida, Tulane, and UCF. Let's see if we get him. And we do. He's a 70 overall tackle, so he probably won't start hopefully from day one, but he'll have time to develop, and he could develop into a starter down the road. I'm okay with getting a few developmental pieces across the O-line. I find getting high-end O-linemen currently quite hard with the Gators, so I'm glad to bring him aboard. Next on our list is a 2-star kicker, Joshua Williams. He's soft committed to us. We'd like to hold on to him even though we already have a kicker in the class. That's just because you never know which one could be better. And you know what? We got him, and he is better. He's already a 92 overall as a true freshman. I can't wait to kick with Joshua Williams. Let's see who's up next. Next up, we have Keanu Uzoma. He's a 4-star safety out of Binghamton, New York. He's 6'3", 205 pounds. We really hope we can bring him in. Let's see where he goes. And unfortunately, he goes to Mississippi State and becomes a Bulldog. We'll have a chance to face him here or there, maybe throughout his career. Nothing's guaranteed there, but I'm really disappointed we couldn't bring him in. Next up, we have Kelvin Yanjun, who is out of Florida. He's a 3-star outside backer. He soft committed to South Carolina. Let's see if we can get him. And he flipped, but he didn't flip to Florida. He flipped to Missouri, so we will definitely see him. He's only a 68 overall, so he probably won't play right away, but eventually we'll take him on here in this dynasty file. Next up is a quarterback. It's Khalif Ramsey. He's the number 19 quarterback in the nation. He's a 4-star. He's 6'4", 237. He soft committed to Florida. Let's see if we can hold on to him. And we do. He's a 78 overall, so he'll come into this season fighting to maybe see some playing time, as I'm going to announce later in this episode some of the players that are going pro. So he might get some playing time depending on what Jack Garola decides. So let's move on to our next guy, and that's going to be Kyle Rattler, the number 2 tackle in the nation. He's a 5-star. He's 6'3", 300 pounds out of Louisiana. We got to hold off Florida State and LSU. Let's see if we can do it and maybe get him to come to the Gators. And unfortunately, we couldn't hold off the home state team LSU, so now we're going to end up having to face him. It's just a disappointing loss right there on the recruiting trail. Next up, we have Marcel Moore, a 4-star halfback out of Alabama. He ends up having his list down to Florida State and Oklahoma State. We'll have to see where he goes. And he ends up staying committed to the Seminoles, so that was a bit of a loss. He's a 76 overall, 6'2", 223. He would have made a great halfback for us. Next up, we have Max Pierre, a 4-star free safety out of Florida. He has Florida, Florida State, and Miami all in-state schools on his list. Let's see where he chooses to go. And he chose Florida. He soft committed to us, and he held that commitment completely through. We're so glad to bring him in at a 90 overall. He's going to be an immediate impact player for this defense. Next up, we have Morven Colquhoun. He's a 3-star outside backer out of Texas. He's soft committed to Nebraska. He's 6'5". Let's see if we can flip him. And we do. He's only a 72 overall, but we'll take him. He's a 3-star commit, and we're glad to have him. Next on our list is a middle linebacker out of New York. He's a 5-star. He's the number 4 middle linebacker in the nation, Nelson Lohman. Let's see if we can get him to flip and come to the Gators. And in our biggest recruiting win of this signing day, it's Nelson Lohman flipping to the Florida Gators. We love to have him. Him and Jonas Stepp are going to make an excellent pairing at the middle linebacker position. Next up, we have Nigel Chukwuelu. He's a 4-star receiver out of California. We pushed really hard to get him. He's soft committed to Penn State, Texas A&M, and Florida are still in the running. Let's see who gets him. And it's going to be Penn State and James Franklin knocking us off and keeping Nigel Chukwuelu committed to him. We're really hoping to get him. He's a -7, but still a 71 overall receiver at 6'1", 216, and he had good speed. Would have been great to have. But oh well. Next up's Narkeithius Moore, a 5-star number 3 defensive end out of Florida. He's down to Florida, Alabama, and Georgia. We're hoping to get him because we definitely don't want to face him. Let's see where he goes. And he came to the Gators. He was our second longest commit in this class, and we're so thankful to have him at an 85 overall. He's going to make a huge impact for us. Let's move on to our next one. And our next one's going to be Robert Foster. He's a 3-star halfback out of South Carolina. He committed to Washington, at least as a verbal commit. Let's see if we can flip him. And we didn't flip him. He ended up signing with Washington. He's 6'3", 203. He has really good speed. He's a +7, and he's up to a 73 overall. He would have been nice to have, but best of luck to him out west. Next up, we have Ryder Fontaine, a 4-star receiver out of Alabama. He's the number 44 player at the position in the nation. He's soft committed to us. Let's see if we can hold on to him. And we do. He's a pretty good player. He's only a 70 overall, but I think he's somebody we can develop. He has excellent speed, so hopefully we can make him a better receiver later in his career. Next up, we have Tracy Brown, a 4-star number 2 outside linebacker out of Texas. He's soft committed to Alabama over us and Arkansas. Let's see if we can flip him to the Gators. And that's exactly what we do. He's a 76 overall. He's 6'3", 233. He's an excellent developmental piece. I can't wait to get him in here, and I'm just glad we took him from 2 conference rivals. Next up, we have Vidarius Witt, and he's our final commit on this signing day. He's a 3-star tackle out of Utah. Let's see where he decides to go. He's soft committed to Minnesota currently, but he decides to flip. It's just not to the Florida Gators. He goes to Georgia Tech, so we probably won't see him play. He's a 63 overall and a bust, so he's not a big miss, honestly. It just would have been depth and probably would have transferred later in his career. Now we're going to get into some of our talking points here at the end of this episode, and as you can see, we have our quarterback Jack Garola deciding that he's going to go pro following this game here in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl against West Virginia, so that's going to be a big loss for our program going forward, and hopefully one of the guys we have decides to stay. As rumor has it right now, both are planning on entering their name into the portal. There is a chance that with the news Garola is going to go pro, we might be able to change one of their minds. That could be a big loss for us, so stay tuned. We have more news coming up soon. I'll see you in the next one. This is LDJ11. Please like and subscribe. The next episode will be out soon, and it's going to be the Goodyear Cotton Bowl. I'll see you in it. Have a great day, and I'm out.
Welcome to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare.